Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Wayside Publishing's Poolside Proficiency series, Dive into AP. I'm Michelle Ola, and I'm the Director of Professional Learning here at Wayside and Expand Professional Learning. And today I'm sitting down with Julie Pacheco-Toye, fresh off of the AP Annual Conference in Las Vegas. And we're going to talk all about AP Lang and maybe literature. I'm not sure what sessions Julie attended, but she also presented a spotlight session at the conference. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then she just got to be an attendee and really just kind of see what is going on, what's coming up in 2027. What do all of these amazing AP consultants and experts and teachers want you all to know going into the school year. So welcome, Julie. Thank you for taking the time right after this busy conference when your impressions are still fresh and you can kind of fill those of us in who were not able to be there in person. And let's go ahead and start with your session. So you presented a spotlight session for Wayside, and why don't you just tell us a little bit about that and what you had to say?
Sure. Thanks, Michelle. My spotlight presentation was called Leveraging Authentic Materials for AP World Language Success. And as the title suggests, we talked about the value and importance of using authentic resources, and not only in AP level world language classes, but also in all levels, as well as the challenges that authentic resources can present and some concrete ways to overcome those challenges. So, while authentic materials have been an important element of the AP course and exam now since the last major revision in 2011, it's even more important now with the course project because we're tasking students with finding and using appropriate resources in that research phase of their course project and potentially maybe even talking about them in the project Q&A. So supporting our students through the process of finding them, interpreting them, synthesizing them, and using them to formulate their own interpersonal and presentational expression early and often will help them to feel more confident and also motivates them to find things that pique their interest and activate their own curiosity. There just are no downsides to using authentic resources early and often. As they say,
Awesome.
success breeds success.
Yeah. So I'm sure we're going to talk more about the famous, infamous project component of the new AP exam, because I know when I talk to teachers, that's one of the things that they are definitely honed in on. Like, what does this mean, right?
Yeah.
And just that preview of making sure, like you said, our standards talk about, our best practices talk about authentic resources, but maybe looking at them in a little bit more intentional way and building those in for that student success on that project. How many people were there? Did you have a room full of people? Did they have any response questions that you heard that were interesting?
Yeah, it was pretty well attended, especially considering that it wasn't one of the main sessions. It was one of the spotlight sessions. It was pretty well attended, and people had a lot of questions, but also shared their own resources as well, which is something we always love to see. And few stayed behind to chat with me, and I really enjoyed meeting new people. Meeting new people and making some of those connections was probably my favorite part of being at the APAC conference.
Absolutely. So I'm sure you learned a lot from probably your side conversations as well
I
as
did.
the main sessions, right?
Yes, absolutely. And one of the follow-ups I really enjoyed to the spotlight presentation was a conversation I had a little bit later in the conference with a teacher who felt like the spotlight presentation confirmed for her that she was doing all the right things, and
Oh,
that
I love
gave
that.
her a little more confidence to maybe expand her use of authentic resources.
It's always good when you go to a conference because you sit in a session and sometimes I don't know, maybe this is just me, but I often feel like I'm here to learn and to see all of the things I don't know and I need to do better. But it's always nice to hear like, yeah, I'm on the right track. I know how to do this, right? And
Yes,
that's just as important as the things we don't know how to do yet is
it is.
really pulling in those things we do or maybe do well, amplifying those, sharing those with other people as well. So you presented the one spotlight session,
Mhm.
and then you got to attend some sessions. What is one of the sessions that you attended that struck you? You had some takeaways that you'd like to share.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I attended several sessions and then also I got to attend the post-conference workshop on AP Spanish, which was fantastic. And so there are a few takeaways that I would really love to share with people. A big one that came up in Milibet Llanos Gremillon and JJ Melgar's presentation, which was called Progressing the Novice Learner Up the Proficiency Scale. And also in another presentation I saw, Start Strong, Finish Strong, Build the AP World Language Mindset from Day One. Laura Fernandez Vecino and Serena de Candido. So the idea that came up in both of these presentations was the idea that AP prep begins in level one and that everyone is an AP teacher. Every world language teacher is an AP teacher. And in both of those sessions, the presenters shared some really great strategies and ideas for how to begin building AP readiness skills beginning in novice level classes. And I even learned a few new strategies. Sometimes I think I've been in this world language world for so long there are no more no more.
You've got enough. You've got all of the things in your
Yeah.
toolkit, right? You're like, there is
No.
no more.
Yes,
Well,
but
tell us a couple of the strategies for.
there was one in particular that we had so much fun with, and these presenters were great because they had us doing the activities that they would do with students. Essentially, it was an interpretive listening activity that sets students up first with anticipating some vocabulary they think they might hear from what they already know. So little round sticky notes to put words that we anticipated we were going to hear on. And then, so they gave us like a theme and a visual to think about to set that context. They provided the context first. And a visual to activate that prior knowledge, had us think of some words that we expected to hear, write them on the sticky notes on
Yeah.
bubble wrap. And then they read a poem in the target language on the theme we were expecting. And each time we heard one of the words that that we had been anticipating, we got to pop that bubble
Oh my gosh.
and
That's so
then
fun.
whichever unpopped bubbles were left over at the end, everyone shared their unpopped bubbles. So it was a nice, fun, easy activity that anybody could do with novice learners all the way through AP to develop those really close listening skills.
I love that. That is so fun. It's so fun. It's interactive. It really, that's the other thing going to these conferences, just seeing the amazing presenters and the creativity of the teachers that are teaching every day. It just is so much fun.
Couple of other takeaways I think
Yeah.
I'd like to share with our listeners.
Yeah.
One is that the themes and the skills have not really changed that much. Yes, they have been revised, but they're not huge changes. Mostly they've been simplified and organized in a more consolidated way. And this was something that Cindy Hodgson talked about in her session, Strategies to Align Your Current Curriculum to the New World Language Framework. So she provided a lot of guidance around how teachers can continue to use many of their favorite already existing materials and lessons that they worked so hard to develop and know that they will still help build those AP skills. So I think that perspective really helped to ease some of the anxiety around the changes in the exam that so many teachers have been feeling.
Oh, absolutely. I think anytime there's a big change or any change, there's that anxiety of both the unknown,
Mm-hmm.
because we've never done it before. And so I think we often think like, oh my gosh, I've got to start over. I've got to redo everything. I don't have time for that. Right. And then that's where like that panic and anxiety and stress starts coming in. And so I love that reminder of just, if you've been doing good practice and you've been doing all of these things in your classroom, there's many, many things that you're going to keep doing, right? That you
Yes.
can just maybe tweak or look at a little bit different, or maybe not. Maybe it's exactly the same way that you're going to approach it, because
Yeah.
it's not always just adding new stuff, right? Sometimes you're just looking at your other stuff and kind of
Yeah. Find
placing it in a
time.
new context.
You find a new place for it, see where it best aligns, maybe
Yeah.
make a tweak, but you don't have to toss it all out.
Yeah. Although I know sometimes it's nice to toss some things out too, right? And look at it in a different way. So you've got the freedom to do both, right? You don't have
Exactly.
the pressure.
Exactly. The third takeaway that I'd really like to share with our listeners is, and this is more of a takeaway from the post-conference workshop that I
Yeah, tell us a little
attended.
bit about the post conference first,
Yeah,
then. So tell
yeah.
me
It
more
was a
about that
full day
experience.
workshop, and I think it was like a condensed mini version of one of the APSI, multi-day Summer Institute workshops. So it was
Got
one
it.
day. It focused on making sure everyone understood the changes and the new revisions, and then helped to understand better the course skills and how those will be evaluated on the exam. And more than anything, really gave a lot of in-depth understanding and preparation for the course project. So my biggest takeaway from the workshop is that the course and exam description is gold. It is a huge gold mine of information, resources, guides to help you and your students be ready for the exam and to work through the project phases in particular. It includes much more than the project, but being that the project is the element that most people seem to be the most concerned about, I think it can be helpful to know that the resources and the support are there. So I really recommend that teachers use the recommended schedule for the course project. They set out a good, detailed
So
schedule.
day one, week one, day one, do this,
Exactly. Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yes. So the 4 phases of the course project are really laid out day by day with suggested lesson plans and activities. They're scaffolded really effectively for both teachers and students in the course and exam description. And also, gotta say, in our course project guide that's included in Apuntar al Futuro as
Yeah, which I think we should talk about more
well.
at the end as well. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So I think really the support is out there. I know teachers are worried, but the support is out there, and there are a lot of ways that teachers will be able to help their students build those skills without having to create everything on their own.
Absolutely. I love that. So let me ask you, like with the course project, one of the, I want to say maybe it was Maritza Sloan when she had her webinar.
Mhm.
Did you hear anything, or did any of the speakers talk, or did they talk about doing like replicating that course project earlier when it comes out in the theme, like the specific topic or question comes out in January, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So instead of seeing and running through this project sequence in January, was there any talk or recommendations of doing something like that, like mimicking that, preparing, kind of getting those skills built up before January in any of the
Yes.
sessions?
Yes, there was. In fact, a decent segment of the workshop day was talking about mini projects, how we can build these mini projects that mimic either parts or the whole of the course project, and then also doing the same with the argumentative essays. So yes, that can be a really good way to prepare students for the process that they're going to be undergoing starting in January. But teachers don't have to wait until January to help students start gaining those skills, those research skills, skills in synthesizing information, interpreting authentic materials, anticipating questions, and thinking about how prompts might be addressed because they won't know the prompt, even though we know the theme is arts and creativity and that the context will be music. We really don't know anything
Right.
at all about the prompt. And so, um, although our students can't really start preparing their actual course project yet, there's a lot that they can do to be preparing for that.
Yeah.
And in Apunta al Futuro, also, we have those mini projects in 3 units and those mini argumentative essays in 3 units too.
Yeah, so those are all kind of ways to get started with you having without you having to create those them yourself. We had a really great conversation. Julie had a really great conversation with Jan Hegedorn, who was the managing editor on Punta al Futuro, and she talks more specifically about the new Wayside AP textbook for Spanish. And so we'll link that if you want to learn more. There's a lot more details in that podcast. So, but again, that importance of kind of having those mini projects, I even think based on that session and also what we've been kind of talking a lot about here at Wayside and in Expand Learning with our team about it not just starting in AP. So as this will be the hardest year because the students going in have never maybe done this sort of thing before.
Uh-huh.
But if level 1, level 2, level 3 starts doing some mini projects that model that by the time students get to AP, that project thing is going to be super easy, right? Because it's not going to be anything unusual or different, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
I
Yes.
love that. Awesome. Now, I did want to bring up because I had this question. I did an AP session at a different conference this summer, and somebody said, oh, well, since we know that it's going to be arts and specifically music, should we just have that be our only theme that we work on most of the year to help prepare students for that?
Uh-huh.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't recall anyone saying or addressing that, but I do definitely have thoughts on
Right. I
it.
thought you might. Yeah.
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 So we need to remember that although there's a lot of buzz around the course project and logically a lot of talk about it since it's new, it's not the only part of the exam, right? We've
Right. They're
students,
still going to need those other themes. They're still going to
yes,
need those other skills, right? They're still going to need to,
absolutely.
like the argumentative essay, for example,
The
right?
argumentative essay, the multiple choice sections, even
Mm-hmm.
though they're not producing language on that, certainly having that background knowledge and understanding of all of the themes is going to help them to perform well on the multiple choice part. But yes, especially the argumentative essay, because we have no idea what the
Right.
theme or prompt will be for that one. So, yes, I really would encourage teachers to not disregard all the other themes and contexts.
When I think about change,
Mhm.
there is so much emphasis on that new part, right? And
Right.
so it is tempting to kind of maybe go overboard on that particular theme or that particular component. Thank you for the reminder that
Mhm.
we want to make sure we still focus on all of that, that well-rounded sort of experience that
Exactly.
we want our students to have, because it's not just the test, right? It's
Right.
the language learning, the culture, the interculturality. It's that whole year. It's not just test prep, right? AP is
That's
about so
right.
much more than that as well. So
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
wonderful. Any other big takeaways? Any other things that came up or conversations that you had that kind of struck you?
It's something that we've already even talked about in this in this series, in our Poolside Proficiency series, our webinar last month was on how AP skills really have to start being built from level 1. And it was surprising to me in a good way that
Mm-hmm.
there were actually several sessions around how AP readiness skills are developed beginning at the novice levels. And I was super happy to see that shift from what I had experienced all those years ago when I was teaching AP Spanish. And it felt like a lot of people saw AP as isolated and separate from the rest of the world languages programs. So it was really great to see so much of what Carolyn and Amy and I talked about at last month's webinar confirmed and addressed at the national conference. That was a very affirming experience.
Yeah.
Mostly, I would say there was just a lot of chatter around the changes to the course and exam, especially the course project, as expected. But I do think that by the end of the conference, the attendees who were world language teachers have to have felt more settled about it because there were so many great sessions about those changes and how to get ready for them. So I would just say to all of those teachers out there who didn't get to go to APAC and who maybe are still experiencing some of that anxiety and uncertainty, to take advantage of the resources that are out there. A lot of people who are very knowledgeable and experienced are talking about it, and the support is out there. You're not on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll list our Wayside and Expand professional learning resources that we've been doing this summer somewhere on this page, show notes.
Mhm.
Um, and so that's fantastic. I love it. Let's just end this with one more question. What is like the most important takeaway? What is something that teachers can do like immediately? What would you want them to go and do? Just a little first move to kind of get ready and to kind of get into that mindset of, hey,
Mhm.
this we've got this. If they do this one thing, they'll maybe feel better. What would that be?
My one thing would be today, right now, after this podcast, go to AP Classroom and download the course and exam description and start reading it.
Perfect.
And
It's big though, right?
is
It's a lot of pages.
it is big, yes.
Yeah.
And, if your biggest concern right now is the course project, skip to the course project.
Great advice.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if you've adopted a Punta al Futuro for next year, same thing. Go to our project guide that's included with the curriculum and start there because you'll feel better. You'll feel better and less worried after you've looked at that. And then the other thing I would say, it's more for students, but something that I would recommend teachers do right away the first day is find ways to lower your students' affective filter around the course project because they probably know about it too, and they're going to be coming to you with their own anxieties. So plan
Yeah.
for ways on the first day to start helping them through that.
Thank you so much for sharing all those insights that you had and that you've experienced. And then to everyone listening, we're going to put some resources in the show notes that we've had over the last couple months this summer that you can dig into, as well as some ways if you want to check out Apunta al Futuro, our new AP language resource that we can get you hooked up and let you look at that and take a look as well. Thank you so much, Julie.
Thank you.